Imagine for a moment the president, the pope, and the richest man in the world, currently Elon Musk, are together in a room. Between them stands an assassin. Each of the men are begging the assassin to execute the other two. Who lives? Who dies? It's an interesting thought experiment that could take you in many directions. Do you recognize the example? I modernized it a little bit, but it's actually from an episode of Game of Thrones. During this discussion, try and think of what you would do if you were the assassin. What would influence you? Who do you believe has the most power? I'm Jason Kreisky. Thanks for joining me today. We're here to talk about power, specifically French and Raven's 5 bases of power. The 5 bases were originally introduced in 1959, and later in 1965, Raven added a 6th base of power. The first power we'll discuss is legitimate power. This is the type of power held by someone in a positional role that allows them to make decisions and expects people under their control to take action. These people hold that power while they hold that position and lose it when they're no longer in that position. Take, for example, a CEO of a company. As the CEO, they have specific legitimate powers that once they lose that power when they're no longer the CEO. The next one is reward power. Typically, this type of power is held by someone with some authority over you that would be able to provide you with a reward, either a promotion, time off, or something else of value. These rewards are provided after completing a task or doing something that was expected of them. For example, a parent giving a child money for doing well on the report card. But don't forget about negative rewards. Maybe a police officer rewards you with a ticket after you were found speeding. These rewards can be useful, but often lack long-term strength. And the individuals using this power can often lose credibility. Coercive power is another power that should be used sparingly. This is the threat of action against someone if they don't do what's asked of them. This threat could be physical, mental, monetary loss, or maybe even getting fired. Anytime someone threatens you to do something that you don't want to do is using coercive power. The power being threatened has to be believed that the person that's threatening them has the ability to actually carry out the action. This power can be great to establish discipline, but it's often abused. Next is reverent power. Reverent power is the ability to gain favor with someone based on how much they like you. Maybe you're members of the same professional organization, or you feel there is some shared connection or belief between the two of you. Whatever it may be, that feeling gives that person some amount of power over you. Think of your favorite influencer or talk show host. For whatever reason you like them, which grants them reverent power. The 5th and final original power is expert power. Have you ever sat in a meeting with a large group of people trying to make a decision? Maybe there was one person that when asked was able to discuss the issue with such a great level of knowledge that everyone was instantly convinced and the decision was made and the meeting was over. Based on that person's skills and experience, they're able to gain that expert power. Although this can also just be a perceived power if you believe that someone has a greater level of knowledge than yourself in a specific matter. As mentioned earlier, Raven added a 6th base of power in 1965, informational power. This power is a derived power from information that you have or someone believes you have. Information you supply can be used to influence a person to make a favorable decision for you or alter their actions in some way. This power of information has been argued by experts as controversial, but if you think about it, if you don't know how to do something, what do? I Google it or watch a YouTube video. The people you're watching have informational power that they're willing to share, but they only have that power because you need or want it. So back to the 4 men in a room together. What do you think? Who lives and who dies? To finish the scene from Game of Thrones, power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall. So who has the power? The president, the pope, Elon Musk, or the assassin? Each has their own derived power, but ultimately it's up to the assassin to decide which power to acknowledge. Thanks for joining me on this discussion of French and Raven's Bases of Power.